Good evening. Technological advancements as they are, absolutely torn asunder. Had a lovely camera set up and a lovely microphone that decided to break just as I pressed live. So, good evening, friends, and welcome back for the first time in 6 months to Chateau Del Nick. But we're not in the Boudoir Del Brown. We're actually in the living room with the fish and the bunnies. So good evening and welcome, one and all. Thank you all for joining us here this evening for the Queen's Alternative Speech. I have been described as many things in my time. That is one of them. So why not make good use? Before I begin, I'd like to say a huge welcome to familiar faces, new faces. And also, if you hadn't seen it, do go along after this and have a look at Reverend Tony's show that he did between 7 and 8. Some excellent mediumship and some good laughter, some good upliftment and some good fun. Well worth the watch. And I always look forward, especially to the first part of Tony's services. They're very uplifting, filled with laughter. And hello, there he is. Look, there he is. I will learn to be a little bit more interactive with my commenting tonight, now that I can actually see what's being said, as opposed to in the village hall, where I don't have access to it anymore. So I know we've got a Facebook user here. Whoever you are, you're very welcome. Hello to Richard. My niece Cassie is with us. Hello, Alison. Hello, Jacqueline. And yes, welcome. So to tonight, what is His Majesty going to speak about? Well, I often wonder when I'm preparing for any kind of work or service, what it is that I'm going to be doing. And I know Tony predicted that it might be slightly off the wall. All I can say is the Matthew Stapley fan club was very much in high gear today with his Christmas picture of him and Etienne. So no, Tony, not in Le Boudoir tonight. We're downstairs in my gracious drawing room. And because there's far too much underwear hanging around the boudoir tonight because I've done some laundry. But why do something on Christmas Day? I mean, I talk to people about what we're going to do, and I talk to people about what Tony did, for example, on Christmas Day. And so, why are you doing this on Christmas Day? Surely you should be, eating your food and playing with your presents, having games of gin rummy and snap and playing dunk the twonk and all sorts of things that go on Christmas Day. And of course, yes, they're lovely things to do. But Christmas is a time of coming together, of bringing people together. So I can think of no more accurate and required time to come together in unity and with love and with upliftment. And if not today, then when? And Tony, our guys need it. Yes, they do, because let's face it, we can go to midnight mass at any church across the land. For many years, I've seen when I worked at the Ely petrol station, every year on the dot, I would fill the petrol tank up of the Bishop of Ely, who was on his way to do a service out in March direction. Today is a necessary day in the calendar for people. So for spiritualists not to come together today would be an absolute travesty. Yes, it's brilliant and wonderful that people can take time out and get together with their families. But certainly, I've always said this, and this last year has really, really proved it to me. All of you wonderful people watching, all of those spiritualists that come regularly on a Thursday night, that dial in on a Thursday night, all of you wonderful people, You are my family. So I want to share my Christmas with you. You've always been there for me. Everyone knows it's been a bit of a rough year for my biological family, but my spiritual family has come together. And Tony, you're absolutely right. Not everyone has that physical family. So we do need to remember, as Jacqueline points out, what Christmas is. And right, I've got to bring this one up here. You sarky little madam, it's in the kitchen and you'll be having it tomorrow. I was at work this morning, which is why it wasn't at Mother's, but it will be at Mother's. I actually got you one this year. I know I've been a bit rubbish in the past few years. How old are you now? 22, 23, so about 23 years I've been rubbish at presents. But yes, they're here, they're ready. But no, in all seriousness, people don't have physical families. So those spiritual families are all the more important in this time. Now, when I was preparing for this, I say preparing for this, I never prepare for anything. I leave it all to spirit. And once again, I was given that proof of spirit contact and spirit communion literally about 20 minutes before the service started. This chat started. I thought, oh, we must have some sort of reading, special occasion. No, don't bother. Okay, no problem. And funnily enough, I noticed that I had a message from a very familiar face. My drama teacher, Mr. Tony Boland, is now a very, very, very busy poet. And this is what he said. Now, he sent me this. This is how good I am at answering messages. He sent me a message at 5:30 today. I answered it at 17:43, right before the service. And it says, Nick, hi and happy Christmas. I wrote a poem just now and wasn't thinking of spiritualism, yet perhaps it strikes a chord. Now, I'm going to read it in a second, but I'll tell you what I said after it. It certainly does hit home, and I must give you a mention in the Alternative Queen speech, because I'm going to read it now. So this is my drama teacher, Tony Boland. That was another particularly difficult time in my life, but drama helped get me through. Funnily enough, that's why I became all thespian, among other things. But I'm going to read you this poem, and I think it absolutely sums up Christmas to a T. So, Jacqueline, if people have truly forgotten what Christmas is about, which I think they have a listen to this and then share it with them. It's called The Crown. Love's power turns absence into presence. Beyond memory, love is here and now. Within its arms, the living and the dead. And it is love, not time, that wears the crown. And I just, wow, it blew me away. And it really did have quite a lot of personal meaning to me as well. I reckon my drama teacher is turning into a bit of a medium himself, if the truth be told, because that was absolutely spot on beautiful. And of course, not everything is going to be poetic tonight, but I did have to share that because it really does highlight that absolute need for people to come together. And certainly in this way of life, that love wins over everything. People say that time is the healer. No, I don't think it is. Time softens things. Time slows things down. Time makes that burden and that blow of the loss less. But it doesn't heal. It is the love that heals. If you think about it, if you go within yourself and you become lost, it's other people that bring you out of yourself. It's other people's love and compassion that give you a shining light to follow a path out of your darkness. And it's your own love for yourself that finally says, I want to be free of this. I want to live my life. I want to start again. I want to be happy. I want to be free of this burden and this pain. And it's the love of spirit, the living spirit, as it says in the poem quite clearly, that helps us recognize that there is no true loss, only the physical loss. And once again, this goes back to what we were talking about, family, of the spiritual and the physical. You know, there is the physical family and the spiritual family, but then there is also the physical loss and the spiritual loss. You never lose your loved ones. You never lose them, but you do feel like you have. And there is the man himself. I'm going to share him up here. This gentleman here got me through quite a lot in my teenage years, helped me out a great deal, and I want to thank you. It must be a thing about Tonys that make you also very nice and helpful and wonderfully good fun. And I am truly, truly glad that you shared it with me, so that I could share it with everyone else, because that's what it deserved. It deserved to be shared. So everybody, go follow Mr. Boland. I know he keeps telling me to call him Tony, but it's force of habit when you're a teacher. So go follow Mr. Boland, and I know he's done quite a lot of poetry because I have a read from time to time. Thank you for sharing it with all of us. It was so wonderful, and it actually reminds me, in the other Tony, Reverend Tony's service, poetry doesn't have to be huge, great prose to be effective and carry on that message. People keep reminding me of that with addresses. They don't have to be long-winded and 3 hours long to hit the point. They can be quick and to the point. I still haven't figured that out yet. But Tony did share a wonderful poem on his service today. I'm not going to read it, and I'm not going to share it. If you want to hear it, go and listen to Tony's service, because it was wonderful. But it brought that upliftment and laughter and a different perspective. And that's what we have to be to each other. Not just us as the living spirit together, but the world of spirit. And once again, exactly what the poem says. And for me to actually do my address based on someone else's poetry, rather than do my address and hope it marries up with something someone else has picked for a change, is quite a difference for me. But let's listen to these words again and break it down line by line. Love's power turns absence into presence. Well, exactly, because the power of love takes us from being empty into something filled. Yes, I do long addresses. I still haven't figured out how not to do long addresses. I've done a few short ones. I think I got it down to 10 minutes last week, but I digress. That was quite good for me too. So love's power turns absence into presence. So it says that hole that you feel when you have loss can be refilled in some way. But also, we can see this from a spiritual context, in the fact that the absence that we have is replaced by a presence, a literal presence, that wonderful word of spirit, when they come back and are brought back by love, our love for them as a shining beacon, and their love for us as a huge, big electromagnet pulling them close. And it keeps freezing. Bear with me. Beyond memory, Love is here and now. So it's saying it doesn't just have to be about fond memories. It doesn't have to be about just remembering people. It's a physical, literal presence in the here and the now, which is what we know as spiritualists, that those that we thought we'd lost and still love are still ever present, and it is way beyond memory. That they can reach out to us. Now, it's funny that should come up, because on Thursday's service, when I always do the mediumship for Littleport before and after Christmas. So the Christmas service and the New Year service, I'm always the medium. Why do I do that? Partly tradition, partly it's cheaper. I don't charge petrol money because I can walk if I want to. So it's cheaper to keep the doors open, you see. But on Thursday night, I was talking about, spirit. When we first start developing, and hello, David, welcome, David Bradwell, welcome to the Queen's speech. It will get a little bit more lighthearted, I'm sure, because I know what they've been like tonight. But we were talking about how when you develop as a medium, they can use your memories to actually impress the message upon you. So you might hear mediums, in particular, Gordon Higginson used memory invocation a lot. So I'm being reminded, because we're given these memories that tie in with the message. So, for example, if I'm giving someone their grandmother, I would see something that reminds me of my grandmother. If I'm being shown a particular location, like for instance on Thursday, I had to tell someone about this huge stone wall, and I was shown the one that was outside my house up until the age of 15 when I lived in Ely, and I haven't thought of that for years. I'm 43 now. I moved out of there when I was 15. Welcome, Jean. Hello, darling. Good work tonight, you and everyone. It was a wonderful, wonderful demo. Again, I will say again, get over and watch Reverend Tony's service after this. And so, yeah, Spirit can use our memories to help give messages to others, but also our loved ones can use the memories we have of them to impress upon us. How many times have we heard someone say, I was trying to rack my brains because it's that time when, and let's use me as an example. There are times that I still need my dad's advice. There are still times that I sit there and think, what would WWFJBD? What would Francis James Brown do? And if I'm not particularly in the mindset where I can communicate too well because I'm so all over the place and distraught, he can use my memories and pluck a memory of a conversation we have had out into the fore, show it to me because that's what he would have said. And they can use those memories, not just as a medium to give that information to other people that would be pertinent to them, but also when we're stuck and in need of some upliftment, they can use our memories. Just like the turning on of the radio. Now, that's been on fire this week. 3 times this week when I've needed it, Mr. Blue Skies come on. And that was my dad's favourite song. And it's not usually something that gets played in the winter. But I think we all need a bit of Mr. Blue Sky shining here today. Hey, there's the musical bit. So yes, memory is very important, but nothing in comparison to the power of love, because it's the love that uses the memory. Michael, what did you say there? Memory, metaphor. Absolutely, yes. Yes. And those memories become metaphors that can be used by spirit, and symbolism even more so. You've been learning a great deal from his nibs, haven't you, dear? Within its arms, the living and the dead, In love's arms, the living and the dead. We are all brought together by love. That speaks for itself. And it is love, not time, that wears, and here's the name of the poem, the crown. I was just so taken by that I had to share it tonight. And I do feel that it has really kick-started what could and should and would be said on a day like today. Because time really doesn't have the power that love does to heal. Like I said, time is an anesthetic. Love is the operation. And I want to once again thank you, Mr. B. Thank you very much for sharing that with me. What another thing that Mr. Boland used to do in our lives when we were but young whippersnapper students of drama, lights, camera, action, was bring a lot of upliftment and laughter and light into our lives. And that is truly a wonderful gift that certainly people need. I sometimes wonder if people get really, really miserable this time of the year because they know that they've only got repeats to watch on TV. Don't get me wrong, I'm a fan of James Bond, but I don't need to see Dr. No for a 700th time, especially on Christmas Day. But we do get a lot of Christmas specials, which is wonderful. A lot of humorous ones as well. I know Mrs. Brown's boys will most likely have some sort of Christmas special today. And of course, I am one of Mrs. Brown's boys. I know my dad used to like Mrs. Brown's boys. But that's because the original Mrs. Brown looks just like the one on the telly. My grandmother, the spit. And I will say that the one on telly, her language has got nowhere near touching the goalposts when it comes to my grandmother. She could spar verbally with the best of them. And it was from my great grandmother on the other side where I get my naughty sense of humour. You know, she always used to share naughty limericks with us that I will, of course, not share right now. Because most of them were things like the boy stood on the burning deck. We all know where those go. But why not have a laugh? Why not have some upliftment? Hi, Julie, and hello, Facebook user. If you go on Facebook and tell it that you want to talk to StreamYard, it'll tell me your name, and then I can say hello properly. But yes, I wanted to start with that because it was a wonderful piece of work and well worthy of being shared. So, we talk of the past, we talk of Christmas. Well, this is the Queen's speech. So what comes next? We talk of the future. We talk of what we need to do. Certainly, we as spiritualists in our coming together, and we do, you're right, Tony, we certainly do need ELO. We need ELO. And we need blue skies. A bit of blue sky thinking. And interestingly enough, the first time I've noticed, there's a picture of me, and in actual fact, the boy stood on the burning deck when all but he had fled. Idiots. But I love Spike Milligan. I do love Spike Milligan. Comedians, talking of comedians, I've just got to go and get it because there's a picture over there. The first time it's drawn my attention. So I know why you guys weren't getting him through tonight because he's here, I'm sure of it. But here we go. There he is, me and him. A couple of, I think that's 3 Remembrance Days ago. Him with his police medal and me with my Uncle Tom and my granddad's medals. And I'm reminded of that because talking of comedians, and certainly the generation of Spike Milligan, if you come forward a little bit, Another loss to the comedy world this last couple of weeks is Jethro. And Dad was a huge fan of Jethro. Hello, Stace. Welcome along. I'm sure everyone's heard Jethro talking about a Norfolk Dyke dish. Well, funnily enough, I'm only 3 miles away from the Norfolk border. But I've never seen a Dyke dish in Norfolk. Seen quite a few in Cambridgeshire. But that's another story. Tony, I'm sorry. I said I was going to end up being naughty. But yeah, the humour that comedians have and that they come this time of year, once again, is all about bringing that pause in the middle of winter, in the middle of the darkness, and bringing some love, bringing some laughter, bringing some light, and bringing some humour in that hardest, darkest point, and bringing us all forward for a bit of upliftment, a bit of laughter, a bit of naughtiness. What is wrong with being a little bit naughty from time to time? I mean, the beginning of Tony's service was a perfect example. Everyone was cooing after Matt and Etienne's Christmas picture. If you haven't seen that yet, go along and have a look. It's well worth the watch. If you're a member of the Matthew Stapley fan club, I'm sure you've already seen it. And if you haven't, you need to. Everyone was all cooing and cooing and cooing. And I said, well, I thought it was only turkeys that got roasted at Christmas. I think if they lived in this country several times over. But my point is, people get very, very shocked when they see this guy in his black suit and his black jacket and his collar. This tiny piece of plastic apparently means that I can't be naughty and have a sense of humour. I think that's actually quite ridiculous. And in actual fact, even more so ridiculous, it's rubbish. I always say I got into this position by being myself. I got into this position because I wanted to be of service. And humour has its service. And here's the point. You see this piece of plastic and think, oh, he can't have a mucky sense of humour. That's forbidden. How do you know that I'm a minister now? How do you know that I haven't got a mucky sense of humour? You go, oh, if I were to crack a naughty joke, you wouldn't bat an eyelid, and so long as it was funny, because sometimes I struggle with that too. But to sit and look at me right now with what I'm wearing, you wouldn't bat an eyelid. But as soon as I do this, and as soon as I do this, suddenly I'm now dry with no sense of humour. As a minister, you have to learn to use all of the shades of the world together, draw all of the ideas together, all of the tools at your disposal to bring love, laughter, light, and upliftment. And if you haven't got a sense of humour, you're stuck. I'm sure that every single minister, certainly every, is it cut from Fairy Liquid? Unfortunately, no, it is not cut from Fairy Liquid. However, that man down there, he always threatened to do that to me, but the Fairy Liquid bottles aren't the white plastic anymore. He did threaten to do it with a bottle of Castrol GTX, other oils available, once because he couldn't find an old-fashioned Fairy Liquid bottle. But I actually know quite a few ministers when I was younger who used to cut it from a Fairy Liquid bottle. And it's the point. It's just plastic. It's just a badge. There you go. Just as I say that. The collar is more symbolism. It's physical expression of words. Absolutely. And I've never pretended I'm something I'm not and never will. I hope I can help all those that need me to. Tony, You certainly never have pretended to be anything other than being you are what you are. And I love you for it. I really, really do. Admittedly, we might not want all of our private conversations shared in a public forum. But I do know that we do get a little bit risque sometimes. But then we don't hide that fact because we end up referencing it. Like, for instance, at the beginning of the service, when I've come on and served for Tony, either at the Rainbow Project or on one of his services, it can get a little bit racy before the service, but we don't suddenly stop and become all serious and sensible and, holier than, and that's the phrase, holier than thou. We don't. We carry it on and we always say, oh, we best behave ourselves, but we never do. And I think that's important. And why is that important? Because when you try to be something that you are not, when you try to be something that is holier than thou, you're setting yourself up to fail because you're being fake. You're not being yourself. You're not being the person that people deserve to know because you as an individual are a unique and wonderful person. But if you pretend to be something other than yourself, you're not giving everyone the full benefit of your life and your experiences, be they positive or negative. They have use. And to pretend to be all serious, it puts this wall up and people can't believe that you're real. But by being naughty and risque and, I even told Tony today that the only words that I knew that were going to be said tonight was that I could go play Dunk the Twonth. I had to Google that to know exactly what they were talking about. And I'll be honest, I did not know. I thought it was some sort of game that you played with marbles. How wrong could I be? That's all I'm saying. But, my friends and helpers have a mucky sense of humour. I have to filter them sometimes. And I think it's wonderful. Alan, hello. So I'm getting behind on my comments. Stace, sorry. Hello, Stace. Laughter is the highest form of healing. I'd rather have a person make me laugh on my hospital bed than solemn. Absolutely, yes. Quite right. And also, Stace, I recognise you. There was you on there tonight. Well done. Really, really good job. Michael, a woman at university suggested that what I thought was a very tame book was raunchy. I said, yeah, I will say my other works, when it does get a little bit racy, I do have a nom de plume. It's not so much for this uniform, but the other one. But there you go. Wonderful, wonderful, wonderful. We need a rainbow project rather than chat. Yes, I do know that you guys were fishing. Stacey, yes, it was you. Brilliant, brilliant work, love. I know what it's like. I would say that I'd be lying if I said it got easier, but it does get a heck of a lot more fun. And you will know that, and you will see it. It gets brilliant. The day it gets easy is the day we should give up in this way of life. Seriously, the day it gets easiest is the day you should give up. But it does get a lot more fun, and you certainly get more comfortable with the trimmings and trappings of all what's going on, especially when it all fails just as the music runs out. A gay throuple in the latest one. Wow. Yes. Wow. Yeah. That's kind of sounds a little bit like what everyone was suggesting to Reverend Matthew's picture for Christmas. Humour matters, and anyone who says otherwise is a fool. So to the future. Certainly we need to come together a lot more. We need to find that love and that upliftment. We need to find that togetherness. But as well as understanding the true meaning of Christmas, which that poem actually sums up the true meaning of Christmas, in more ways than one. The other true meaning of Christmas is that it shouldn't be just 1 out of 365 days. That need to look after and keep the family happy, that need to make sure that those that are lonely are not lonely, that need to make sure that those that have no roof have shelter, that need to make sure that people that have no food can eat, should not be 1 day of a year. Because that is the real smack in the gob of Joshua Carpenter. Yes, let's all get together and celebrate his birthday. And in honor of that, we'll make sure that everyone gets a meal, everyone gets a roof, everyone gets some company. Oh, by the way, tomorrow's Boxing Day. Stuff everyone. Back to normal. Forget everyone else now. That is the biggest insult, because it means that the lesson, not the meaning, but the lesson of Christmas has not been learnt. We need to share that message. We need to share that lesson. We need to provide that proof and that truth that Spirit want that lesson shared. That coming together is not a 1 day a year event. That coming together is a once a day event. Minimum. If you can give guidance and help and friendship and support at least once every day of your life, not only have you done a grand thing and a beautiful thing and a great job, but just think of how different the world will be. 365 acts of kindness per year. That is all I will ever ask of anyone. So long as you don't counterbalance it with 736 negative ones. But the point is this: if you can do one great thing every single day of your year, look at the impact you will have on the world. And if 10 people did that, that's 3,650 generous, kind acts. If 100 people, you get the picture. You can tell that my maths is rubbish because I've stopped doing the maths now, but you get the point. If we could all unite and make one positive impact on someone's life, someone who's not smiling, someone who's upset, someone who's lonely, someone who's hungry, someone who's cold, if you can have that one simple impact on every single day of your life, you will change the world. You will change the world. And there you go. As I just say that, Stace comes up with, how do we change the world? One small act of kindness a day. It makes the difference. And Alan, yes, you're right. The reading does spring to mind. Thank you for that. I'm actually quite excited about the direction of the NCSS for the next year, for the next many years. And I think that should be the basis of our work. One act of kindness a day. If we can do that, not only will it change the world, it will show people that the New Christian Spiritualist Society is a beacon of light and hope, an example not just of mediumship, not just of communication with the spirit world, but with communication with the living spirit. And I say that word quite a lot because I quite often think that people tend to forget that there is a living spirit, and that in order to communicate with the eternal spirit, it might be worth learning to communicate with the living spirit first. Because as much as doing the work of spirit is what we do it for, we also do it to help people. And what is the mission of spirit but to help people? Oh, bless you. I wish I knew who you were, Facebook user. If you want to put your name in your comment, I'll know it's you. But you're very, very welcome. This is what we're here for. We are family under spirit. You know, there's no surprise that we refer to the Great Spirit as Father, Mother, God, because we are all siblings under the Great Spirit. And I actually think I think I heard something like that on Tony's service last night. I know that the parental bit was what was mentioned in absolute certainty. But friends, let's resolve to make 2022 a year of kindness, a year of love, but a year of action, where our plans last more than into the 3rd or 4th of January. And I'm just as guilty as that. And I resolve here and now in front of my spirit family that 2022 is the year that I start doing what I need to do for the world of spirit, for you, but also for me. 2022 will be a unique year because there will have never been a year like it. And that's the same for every year. But look at all of what we have been through. Look at what we have, as a world, have been through. A truly unique experience to us, this living generation. Let's resolve to never let us go through a year like this again. We together can take action peaceably, kindly, and with love to make this world a greater place. And thank you. All of this came from your poem, mate. All of this came from your poem. They used your poem to be the guide and the direction, and your poem was the seed for everything that I have said tonight, that they embellished and built upon through my work. So, well done, you. And Joshua, see, is catching on. Joshua Carpenter. The instruction, Joshua Carpenter, love one another as oneself. I love it. I do love it. Joshua Carpenter. Remember that name. You know it better than you think, those that don't know what we're talking about. Before I go, I've just got to share that. For those that haven't heard me rant on about Joshua Carpenter, when is a name not a name? When it's the name that somebody didn't use, and that name is Jesus. It's translated from Hebrew and Aramaic into Greek, and then to Latin, and then into English. The meaning and the whole purpose of the name was lost when Yeshua translate directly into English as Joshua. So Jesus was actually called Joshua. His father was a carpenter. Round there, we give people based on what jobs they do. So therefore, Joshua Carpenter. His real name would have been Yeshua ben Yosef, Joshua son of Joseph. But a lot of people don't really want to use that one, do they now? Do they? No, they don't. They don't, because they don't want to acknowledge that he was Ben Yosef for various reasons. But no, the truth is, if you're going to refer to someone, refer to them by the name that they would understand and accept. And if you're going to translate it directly rather than around the houses. Because not only have people translated the message, not only have people translated the name of Jesus, Yeshua, Joshua, around the houses, the message has been mistranslated around the houses too. Direct translation, Joshua, son of Joseph, love one another. Here endeth the sermon. I'd love to come and share some poetry with you in the new year. Absolutely brilliant. Yes, we would love to have you, Tony. We would see. I'm getting used to calling you Tony now. Must be because the other Tony's on as well. I'm used to using the name. We would love to hear more from you. And I know the other Tony, my Reverend Tony Swindles. I believe he's already added you to follow you so that he can see your work. A year, yes. A year where humanity got to pause and reflect. In the Psalms, in the Bible, there's a word, Selah. It's used to break between passages, and it means pause, reflect, consider. Let this moment be a Selah. Let's pause, reflect, and consider. Let's pause from the experiences we've had. Let's reflect upon what we've learned from them. And let's consider what we're going to do about it. Friends, I think you've heard enough from me tonight. I would like to thank you all for joining me in this tiny little journey. I've really actually quite enjoyed this. And Stace, love this one. She's good. The fourth word, and grow. Pause, reflect, consider. Selah. After that, grow. Brilliant. I've enjoyed doing this to the extent that I think I'm going to do it again. I did have this whole idea this year of doing Spirit Side, where I would come online for half an hour to 45 minutes and have a chit chat about that which is angsting and getting at me. I never got round to it for various reasons. But I've paused, I've reflected, and I've considered and grown, and it's time to start doing what we must do for each and every one of us. So do this for yourselves as well. And thank you all for joining me. Have a wonderful rest of the festive period, whatever it is you're doing. And if you are feeling alone, know that you are not alone. So wrap up warm with a nice hot toddy or whatever tickles your fancy. And wrap up and have fun. Oh, and it looks like we've now been on long enough to start getting mysterious links on YouTube. The YouTube algorithm has finally noticed us again. I think we were getting hacked by Russians on Thursday, but this doesn't look like a Russian tonight, so we've broadened our reach. Friends, I wish you a very Merry Christmas, a Happy New Year. Be well, be at peace. God bless you. And thank you for joining me. And I promise we'll do this again soon sometime. God bless and good night.